scams. Okay, that's one of the big things everybody's always talking about. They're about to send money, a deposit overseas to a company they've never met, probably never picked up a phone and talked to. It's just all been through communication, through Skype or through some kind of a chat. What would be some common scams for the new seller to avoid?
I guess the most common scam is the bank account scam. So, you speak to a supplier for a while, you get comfortable with him, and all of a sudden he sends you the invoice with a bank account or bank name, bank account holder name that is completely different than the actual name. I just saw recently in a Facebook group a guy who said he got an invoice and the bank account was in Africa. So that's an obvious red flag. But even so, I mean, many suppliers in China, they have banks in Hong Kong because of the financial transactions is a lot easier through Hong Kong. So I wouldn't be worried if the bank account is in Hong Kong, but if the name of the company does not match up with the company that I'm speaking with, that's a bit of a red flag. Another scam is probably charging high fees for samples, $200, $300, $400, or, just pushing it out like they're not really replying, but they're asking you for payments on samples, for example. Those could be two obvious reasons. So you got to do your vetting in the beginning right away with a set of questions, for example.
What would be a typical fee to charge for a sample? Let's say the sample normally is $10 and that's what you're ordering. What should you expect to pay?
I would say usually $50 to $100 is reasonable, including the logistic freight costs. But if someone's charging $200, $300, I mean, that's just ridiculous. But $50 to $100, it's not really the actual costs that they want to check on your side, because they want to check if you're serious as well. If you're not just someone who's collecting samples from a lot of suppliers. So see that $50 to $100 as an investment into your business.
Okay, and going back to the bank, if you've ordered a small order initially, everything checked out, you got it, and the next time you place a bigger one, if they are changing the bank account then, and I've actually had this happen to me, as long as the business name matches on the new bank account, would you say go for it, it's okay?
As long as the company name stays the same, or if there is a reasonable explanation, like, for example, I don't know, they moved factories, for example, or they moved to a different bank, but as long as the bank account name stays the same, I'm happy with that.
Okay, awesome. Any other scams other than those two?
Those are the two most common scams. I mean, the companies, if you're sourcing, if you're a private label guy and you source primarily, let's say, on Alibaba or Global Sources, because you can't make it out to the shows in Asia, Alibaba and Global Sources is doing a lot these days on getting all the suppliers really vetted in the front already. So they check their business registration, they call the companies, sometimes they even head over to those factories to check if they really exist. So they're doing a lot of work to really weed out the scammers.
Okay.
So it's not like 3-4 years ago, but it could still happen, sure.
Okay. Should people use the trade assurance that Alibaba offers?
If they can, they would. I would. I mean, I personally recommend to at least once go over to China, or maybe there's some shows over in the US where a lot of Chinese or Asian manufacturers exhibit. Mm-hmm. So if you have the chance, go to the shows, because you really see that person you see him in person, you can build a relationship, you get a better feeling, you see even products or samples. So it makes a lot of sense to go to the shows.
For more information, insider tools, and to get the resources mentioned in this episode, visit ampmpodcast.com.